Most people trying to become data analysts are taking way longer than they need to. They're learning a lot, but not building real momentum. They're putting in effort, but not in the areas that actually move them closer to a job. So they stay stuck in this weird cycle where they feel busy, they feel like they're making progress, but nothing in the market really changes for them. So no interviews, no traction, and no proof that they're actually getting closer. So in this video, I'm going to break down what the fastest path actually looks like if your goal is to become a data analyst and actually get hired, not just spending the next year preparing. Now, this is your first time here. I'm Kadisha, and 6 years ago, I was delivering pizzas and Amazon packages for $8 an hour. Today, I'm running a community of over 80,000 current and aspiring data professionals, and I have helped thousands of other career changers break into data analytics without going back to school and wasting money on courses that just don't work. And if you're ever interested in working with me to land your first role in data analytics, click the link in the description. Now let's get into it. Okay, so the first step is you need to master the full stack analyst skill stack. Now, most people learn tool by tool, Excel, SQL, then Tableau, each one living in a silo. But on the job, you don't use tools in isolation. You move through an entire workflow, one continuous thread from raw data to business action. That's what full stack really means. It's not about knowing every tool, it's about being able to take a question from start to finish. And the order that you learn matters because each skill is supposed to build a foundation for the next. When you learn in the right sequence, each phase makes the next one easier. And that's what makes this the fastest path. Not shortcuts, but compounding effort. So Excel and statistics first, not because it's the most powerful tool, because it's the lowest friction environment to learn analytical thinking. When you're absorbing new concepts like handling outliers or understanding distributions or data cleaning, you want to focus on the thinking, not fighting a brand new interface and UI. Excel lets you do that, and it appears in about 40 to 60% of job postings because managers can personally interrogate your models, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Then data storytelling second. Every skill after this involves presenting information visually, and if you don't learn color theory, clutter removal, and narrative flow early, you're just going to be building bad habits that compound across every tool. And I want to share a principle here that most people in data never really internalize. The person who communicates the most clearly wins. It's not the smartest person, it's not the most technical person, it is the clearest person. That applies to your dashboards, your slide decks, your interviews, everything. But most people coming out of courses and boot camps have been trained to sound technical. They use jargon to signal competence, but jargon is a crutch. It makes you sound smart to other technical people and incomprehensible to everyone else. If you can explain a complex analysis in language a non-technical manager can follow, you are more valuable than someone who can only explain it to another analyst. Here's a test I like to use with my students. Think about your favorite non-technical manager you had in your previous career. If you can hand them your portfolio write-up or your dashboard, would they understand what you did and why it mattered? If the answer is no, simplify it until it's a yes. That is a standard that you should strive for. And research backs this up. 63% of people remember stories while only 5% remember statistics. Your analysis is only as valuable as your ability to make it stick. Learning storytelling early fixes the clarity problem at the root, and it's one of the biggest reasons this path is faster. You stop building projects that technically work but don't communicate anything. Okay, next in line is Tableau or Power BI. Pick one and commit. There are more than enough jobs for either, and think of a dashboard as an argument, not a display. Every element should build towards a single conclusion, and if someone can look at your dashboard but doesn't immediately know what the action to take, you're not there yet. Next, SQL. This appears in roughly 80% of job postings and functions as a hard filter in technical screenings. If you can't pass a SQL assessment, the conversation ends, period. And the depth expected now goes beyond the basic data retrieval. Hiring managers want to see window functions, CTEs, multiple table joins, and they want to hear you explain your reasoning, not just see the correct syntax. So you can practice on sites like Data Lemur or PG Exercises. The questions are harder than most platforms, but that's the point. Then consulting style slide decks. A dashboard answers what happened, but a slide deck answers what should we do about it. The second one is worth significantly more money. Use the SCQA framework. Situation, complication, question, and answer. Action titles on every slide, one or two charts per slide, and clear recommendations at the end or in the beginning. Most candidates will submit an analysis, but the ones getting hired will submit recommendations. And that is the difference between being seen as a technician and being seen as a strategic partner, or what I like to call an Insight Architect. And the very last tool to touch is Python. Now, by the time you get here, you already understand cleaning, analysis, and visualization. You're learning a faster way to execute what you already know. So focus on pandas, automations, and simple pipelines. Python is the accelerator, not the foundation. And because you already understand the context of what you can do in data analysis, the learning curve for Python compresses dramatically. And every phase gets shorter because the previous phase did the heavy lifting. Quick pause. Now, if you want to land your first job in data analytics and avoid the lengthy mistakes that I did, click the link in the pinned comment where you can find the exact steps that my students use to land their job in data analytics without going back to school. All right, now let's get back to it. Okay, so once you have the skills, the next move is to not sit around and just wait for someone to give you a chance. You create your own experience. And this is the second half of the fastest path. And it's the half that most people never execute. When you're learning, you're in a closed system. There's a course, a correct answer, and a completion badge. And the moment you step into the real world and offer your skills to an actual organization, the system breaks open. There's ambiguity, there's no answer key, and a real person might judge your work. And your brain registers that as a threat and pulls you back towards tutorials where it's safer. That's your nervous system that's protecting you from perceived risk. But 86% of hiring managers prioritize experience over education. So this step is going to give you what the market's looking for. Okay, so first option, local nonprofit. Every community has organizations sitting with messy, disconnected spreadsheets that no analyst is looking at. You can reach out and offer 30 days of free analytics support and treat it like a real consulting engagement. Clean their data, build a dashboard, and deliver a slide deck recommendation. On your resume, this becomes analytics consultant. And research shows that pro bono engagements function as a stretch role that provides far higher quality signal of your capabilities than any certification. One project, 30 days, and you walk away with a portfolio piece, a resume line, and a story that you can tell in every interview. Okay, second option. Thousands of small or medium sized creators are selling products online and have real business questions with zero analytical help. Which content converts? Where's the funnel leaking? What audience segments actually buys? You can step in, analyze their data, and deliver insights on what's actually driving revenue. Targeted portfolios addressing business critical metrics like funnels and retention lead to interview conversion rates 2 to 3 times higher than generic projects. That's not marginal. That's a completely different outcome from the same job search effort. Either option will get you to the same place. You stop being someone who claims to have skills and you become someone with actual receipts. And that transition is what makes this the fastest path. Not because you skip steps, but because every steps produce something a hiring manager can see and evaluate. Okay, so the entire information ecosystem around data careers and just tech careers in general gravitates to more consumption. And that pull feels more productive because it seems like you're always learning something new. But learning without application is just entertainment with a professional alibi. The trend right now is to keep adding to that list. DBT, Snowflake, LLMs, whatever it is. Every month the list just gets longer and longer. And every month you can feel further behind. So the courage to stop consuming and start producing is the most undervalued skill in the space right now. If you've been in learning mode for months, ask yourself honestly, am I still learning because I need more knowledge or because the real thing feels scary? If it's the second one, no course will close that gap for you. Only action will. So now that you understand the fastest path, there's a critical piece that determines whether this effort converts into interviews or not. And in my next video, I'm going to break down the exact system for making your brand work as one unit so that when a recruiter lands on your profile, the decision to bring you in for interviews feels obvious. I'll see you in the next one.